Okay, I'm back. So, she's like, yeah, you have many fibroids. It was more than we thought. It was more than I thought because um, by the time I'm having all of these tests and diagnostics, it was. I'm getting my time mixed up, which means that my notes and my dates and my calendar were all messed up because I had my hysteroscopic myomectomy with my gynecologist in March of 2021. And what laparoscopic is, I guess, is they go in vaginally with the camera and kind of get the fibroid out that way without having to make any incisions in your stomach or anything. So they go in vaginally and do it that way. So that was March. But I had my surgery with the doctor at Mayo Clinic July 4th of 2021. So it was that same year. So I do all the things that I need to do, of course, like within like I don't know, I guess 3 to 4 weeks before the surgery. And I was just like, wow, like, why didn't they catch this in March when I had the surgery? Because I could have been done with this already and like really been on the up and up and like healing. And I guess it was just because of the type of ultrasounds and scans that they did. They just weren't able to see like at this time. So I was upset about that, but you know, it is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. And there are some parts of my notes that said she was going to try, that it was still minimally invasive, but the goal was to prevent medical menopause, which I don't remember having that conversation or like writing that down, which is kind of crazy to think now because like I was already perimenopausal according to the doctor at my first clinic, and like all the tests showed that I was already that way, and who knows how long that I had been that way. So to know that I could have furthered that condition by like having these surgeries and like having an accident or, you know, nicking something. But anyways, I went in, this was a whole procedure with a whole team of doctors or like assistants and nurses. It was 2 doctors that did my surgery. I just remember my experience being kind of scary because they couldn't even get like the IVs and stuff going because my veins are so small. I had both of my arms out and like several different people on both sides trying to catch a vein, including the anesthesiologist had to come in and try to help. They ended up getting like, and I had never seen this before at the time, a scan, like an ultrasound for your veins in your arms. And I'm like, really? Is it that bad? And I guess it was. Even though that they used that scan and finally got like my IVs and stuff going, they still ended up nicking a vein. Oh, no. They ended up nicking an artery in my left hand. And after the surgery, my left hand was numb for like 3 days, and it scared the shit out of me because I thought that I had lost my hand. Like it was gone for days, and they're like, no, everything should be fine, like you're fine. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like I can't move my hand, can't feel it. But so they put me under. Finally, I was able to give my honey at the time kisses and see her before they rolled me back. And I guess the surgery ended up taking way longer than anticipated. I don't remember the amount of hours exactly, but it was longer. To the point where I had to stay a night in the hospital because, believe it or not, the laparoscopic for sure, no, the hysteroscopic myomectomy for sure is an in and out thing. Like you're out the same day. I was out the same day. Even though I was under anesthesia, I was out the same day. Even for the laparoscopic, when they cut into your abdomen to get whatever they need to get out, that's still considered an outpatient procedure. And I'm like, what? Like, looking back, like, I could not imagine going home the same night. Like, I was in so much pain, and I was drugged, and I was sick, and it was just too much. So because the surgery had lasted so long, after a certain time of the day, they just keep you overnight. And I was glad about that, because when they woke me up, I was having trouble passing all of the tests, if you will. Like, when you wake up, you have to do this, you have to do that, blah, blah, blah. I was having trouble passing the tests, including, like, I had to pee extremely, extremely bad. I just remember having that sensation. I had to pee before they even moved me from the surgery room up to my room. And, but for whatever reason, they couldn't move me right away. Like, I still had to be in recovery for a certain amount of time before they moved me to the next position. I was like, I really have to pee. And I'm like laying down, I'm like half asleep, I'm just waking up and just trying to figure out what's going on. And it was one of those, like, I don't know what you call them, a bedpan situation. I don't know. She gave me one of those, and I couldn't go because who pees while they're laying flat down? And I'm like, I know what you're trying to do, and I know what I said, but this isn't working. I can't go. I couldn't pee. So they finally moved me up to my room, and everything moved so fast. They're like, do you think you can, like, get yourself up out of bed and move into the other bed? And I'm like, absolutely not. First of all, I don't even know where I am. Like, that's how still under the influence I was, and I was in pain, and I had to pee. I'm like, I can't move, and my left hand doesn't work. No. So they, like, I don't know, they put me in a hammock of some kind and moved me from bed to bed. And I'm just, like, extremely sick and in pain, and I have to pee. And, you know, the nurses are trying to, like, tend to me and, like, get me together, ask me questions, get me ready for, like, the pain meds and everything. And at the same time, they're like, your fiance is in the waiting room, like, she wants to come up and see you. And I was like, no, don't let her up yet. Like, I'm nowhere near, like, she can't see me like this. Like, this is bad. And I was just like, give me a minute before you bring her up here. And so, oh, what it was I wanted to pee before she came. And it just wasn't happening for whatever reason. I could not pee. I had to go. My bladder was full. It was gonna burst, and I was starting to be in more and more pain. But I just could not go. So they let her up. She's looking at me like, and I'm sure I looked crazy as fuck at the time. She's looking at me like, oh my God, what'd they do to you? Oh, she told me, hold on. She told me, as soon as she came up, she was like, she looked at me and was like, they took your appendix out. And I was like, what? I thought she was playing a joke on me. And I was like, that's not what I went in. Like, don't play like that. I went in to get fibroids out. They didn't take anything else out of my body. And she was just like, they said that they had to take your appendix out. And I'm like, stop playing games. Like, this isn't funny. I don't feel good. I'm in pain. But they did. And I didn't understand why or, like, what happened. But that's the first thing that she said to me. And that's probably why I was having trouble with everything. And then so the nurses are, like, trying to get me together. They're trying to get me one of those, like, potty chair things, because I still had to go. And they're like, maybe if you, like, sit up, then you can go. And I was like, yeah, I would agree. But I couldn't walk to the bathroom. So they brought me one of those potty chairs. Another nurse is bringing me medication, pain meds, and milk of magnesia at the same time. And I'm like, I just woke up. Do I need this right now? Like, I'm just trying to focus on the one thing. They're like, you don't want to find yourself constipated because that is going to hurt really, really bad. And I'm like, fine. So I take, I'm pretty sure it was Oxy that they gave me and a little mini cup of like milk of magnesia. Girl, I took that, was it Oxy? It had to have been. I took that Oxy first, and then I took that milk of magnesia, and I don't know if it was the taste of it. It was like plain, no flavor, or what happened. But it immediately, the pain and everything that was going on, it immediately made me sick. Immediately. Like I took the pain med, I took the milk of magnesia, and I immediately threw up. And it was just so embarrassing because I'm like fresh out of surgery, I'm a mess, I'm sick. My fiance is like looking, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It was a rough night. I didn't get any sleep because I was just in so much pain. They were trying to give me as much as they could every so many hours, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day, I had to get the heck out of there because I wasn't really supposed to stay the night. But I learned that the doctor was able to get, I think, 11 out of the 13 fibroids. I had quite a bit of endometriosis. I later found out that it was like stage 2 endometriosis, but it was so bad that no wonder why like they couldn't really find my left ovary and that my left tube was blocked, and they had to take my appendix because the endometrius had basically overgrown so much that it was like spider webs holding on to like my ovary up against like a wall of my uterus, and then like my appendix was totally wrapped and stuck over here, and that was like stuck over here, and it was just a mess. She showed me pictures of my insides. I still have those pictures, and it was just crazy. So no wonder things were so bad because the endo was just taking over and wreaking havoc. And she was just like, yeah, we had to remove your appendix because it was so inflamed that it was just safer to remove it now versus you having a severe appendicitis of some kind. Like it was going to burst. It was going to do something. It was in distress. So we just took it out. And I was like, damn, like, do I need that? And believe it or not, everything that they took out of me, like the next couple weeks, it was so weird for me to like sleep and move from, I'm a side sleeper. So moving from side to side felt so crazy. I literally could feel like my stomach or something go from one side of my body to the other side because there was so much space in there. They had taken everything out that like every time I moved over, I could feel my insides flop to the other side. Not cool. Not cool at all. So all of this is happening while my partner at the time, we're still living in separate apartments. I mean, we're in the same city, but we're living in separate apartments. And so I guess I decided that I wanted to be taken care of at her apartment so that she was working from home at the time due to the pandemic, and it would just be easier for her to work from home and me be right there. That way she didn't have to miss work to take care of me. And her apartment was more comfortable at the time. My apartment was a nightmare, and I was not exposed, but I was dealing with secondhand and third-hand smoke, marijuana and tobacco. And the ventilation in my apartment was just so awful. Whole other separate thing. I just wanted to be at her place so that she could take care of me and I could get some good rest without being interrupted. So I was over there for the week in pain and swollen, and so they made 4 incisions. Let me see. I still have the scars, obviously. I'll always have the scars. So there's one. So one on this side, one on this side, one up here, and then one in my belly button right here. So 4 incisions, and they took all the fibroids and my appendix out of all of these incisions. My stomach was extremely distended and just horrible for like several weeks. So yeah, that was that. That was my second surgery to get everything cleaned out. After that, I was ready. I was like, come on, what's the next step? And they're like, no, you need to heal. Like, there's no way we're going to do anything when, you just went through all of that. So that was July 4th, or the month of July 2021. Let me turn this off. Nachos. They finally cleared me. I think they cleared me the end of August to go ahead and like start, because I was just kind of like chomping at the bits. And to think about it, I don't think they really cared. They just didn't think that it was going to work anyways. So they're like, yeah, whatever she wants, like it's fine. So they cleared me to continue the end of August, but for whatever reason, I don't remember what the holdup was. We didn't start a cycle until October. The beginning of October, it was the end of September, because that's when we like ordered literally like $4,500 worth of medicine, which you all may or may not know. That shit's expensive when you're doing regular IVF and you're doing the injectables and all that stuff. It cost us $4,500 for that round, and so we started stimulation, aka stemming. We started that the end of September, to where we were having to take injections every so many hours every day. And she was there to help me with that. I did the injections myself, but it was just better that she was like right there next to me, at least watching every time I did it, because I had never done that before. So it was just helpful. Did that, still only had the 3 follicles, which is kind of like a weird number, because, even now they're like, the amount of follicles that you have should change. It shouldn't be like a set number of follicles every single time. Well, guess what? From the beginning of my journey until now, I have only ever had 3 follicles, 2 on one on the other. It was always 3 that would come up every cycle. Every cycle is 3. So I still have these 3. I'm stemming. We're supposed to do an egg retrieval like the end of October. And in hindsight, thinking about my experience, not knowing anything, it's like, I don't even know what we were retrieving. I think there were 2 follicles that were to a decent size, but really it wasn't because of the medication. And by decent, I mean like they were it could have been like a 7 and an 8 or a 9 and 11 or something small and ridiculous. That $4,000 worth of medication only got me to get like some mediocre follicles. It was because my body already had enough hormones that it needed. Whatever, I've talked about that before. They go in to retrieve the next day. I'm put under. I'm really excited, blah, blah, blah. I wake up to the doctor basically looking at me like a case again, and just like apologizing, and was just like, as soon as I wake up and open my eyes, she's just like, I'm sorry, we didn't get anything. And I'm just like, what do you mean you didn't get anything? We didn't get anything. We couldn't find the 1 follicle that we thought we saw, and the other one was empty. And I just burst into sadness. Like, I immediately just cried. Like, this is crazy. I just went through all of this. We went through all of this, and there's nothing. And so they wheel me out of there to my fiance. They put me in the car, and I'm just bawling. And she's just like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Again, she couldn't be there with me because of COVID. So she doesn't know. She's not getting the same live updates that I am. And so they wheel me out to her, and they don't tell her like what happened. They just deliver me to her. And right after that, I we had to get ready to move. Like both of our leases were up in October and November, and we had decided that we were going to move back in together. And so the egg retrieval just happened to be literally right before moving day. And I don't know, like, I would not suggest it at all to do something that huge and then go into something else, like roll right into the next thing, such as moving. I did. I had to hire movers because I just had a bunch of extremely heavy furniture, and we were moving into an apartment that had stairs, two sets of stairs. And because of like what I had just gone through, I was just like, I just can't deal with this. But nonetheless, moving is stressful and hard enough, even if you have paid help. So we rolled right into that. And then right after that, it was my grandmother's 80th birthday celebration. So I was helping to coordinate and be a part of that. So I grieved that failed egg retrieval for like a couple days, and then I had to get right back into gear of life and deal and just be around people and go through it, and that was hard as shit. So I didn't really have a chance to like really grieve until the holidays. I couldn't look at kids. I was just so resentful of everybody with kids. I couldn't watch baby commercials. And of course, that's all that we were getting because, that's what happens. Like the internet watches you and solicits all of the things to you without your permission. So, baby stuff and this and that, and everything was just baby, baby, baby we didn't have. So, that was another major strain on our already very broken, screwed up relationship that we were trying to like hold on to. Um, won't get into that, but a lot happened the end of 2021 that just set off dynamite for what was to come in 2022. Went through the holidays. It was a very tough time for our relationship. Again, we had just moved into this new apartment in October, got through the holidays, and I'm still depressed as fuck about what happened. And I just didn't really I just wasn't in the celebratory mood. Although I really tried, I really forced myself. I didn't have enough time to sit with and like deal with what is happening with my body. And so the beginning of 2022, a decision was made again to not continue our relationship. And this time we separated within the apartment that we had just signed a contract for. And when I say just signed, again, we moved in October. And by the first week of January, we were already separated again of 2022. So that was hell. Um, that was hell. Um, flash forward to um, flash forward to May. I had found this living situation that I'm in right now. Went and toured it. Decided that I needed to pick myself up because I really went through a major depression and lost quite a bit of weight, lost all hope. I was seeing two therapists at the same time. I was doing a lot of drinking. It was bad. It was bad. So I decided in May that I was going to pick myself up because really nobody else was going to, and start my life rather than just sitting in here rotting. And I moved half of my stuff into storage and the other half to my parents' house. And I stayed with them for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then once this apartment was ready for me, I moved right the heck in here in June. And just started my life on my own again. We'll pause here. Okay, so I was just talking about I how my engagement and relationship ended pretty much at the time of the egg retrieval failing, at the time of us moving back into each other, with each other, at the time of me having like other huge family events happening, at the time of the holidays. It was just a lot for me, and I was just not processing very well. And so that ended, and then I pretty much started anew in the spring, summer of the following year. So last year, 2022, I get into this apartment. But one of the biggest things that happened was while I was back living with my parents for a little while, so after the egg retrieval, I just stopped everything. I stopped researching. I stopped watching my videos. I stopped listening to my podcasts. I just stopped everything. And so while I was staying with my parents, something happened. I got on YouTube to watch my other channels, my planty channels, everything else that I was watching. And one of the ladies that was sharing her fertility journey that I'm most related to because of her situation, her low AMH. I think she was in her 40s at the time, and just her situation. I closely related to hers. I watched her. She ended up having twin boys, and that was just kind of the end of her journey, and she turned her channel into other things, family stuff with the boys. And I just hadn't seen any content from her or anybody else in a while. And so I get on YouTube and I see a new video from her that was talking about, or just kind of like recanting her fertility journey and just going over her numbers again. And just for the people that may have been new to her channel and new to her story, she did an update, kind of reminder of like where I started video. And I watched that and I was just like, again, like, if she could do it, why can't I? Like, that was the biggest question that I had, was like, people are in similar situations as me. People are in different situations than me, and they're having to go round after round after round after round. A lot of people have to do that, but eventually they end up with a baby. And why is it that I went through this one round, this one experience with this one doctor, with this one clinic, and I'm ready to give up, like, just because they said that was it? So then I give up and I, don't go for my opportunity? No. So seeing her video reinvigorated me to like think about not giving up. And then how on YouTube you watch one video and it shows you suggestions under that video of what to watch? Well, right under her video was a suggestion from a clinic in California who basically specialized in women that had low ovarian reserve or diminished ovarian failure or whatever. Nothing in there. And so I watched that video, and it was the doctor kind of talking about like how this happens and how they can help and their success rates and what have you. And I went down a rabbit hole of that clinic's videos in California. And before you knew it, I had signed up for a live webinar on their website. Did that. And then after that, before you knew it, and this is all while I'm staying with my parents and getting ready to move and like try to rebuild my life again. I'm signing up and getting more and more information about this. I scheduled a consultation to just see if it was something that was possible for me or if this was even real, a real place, right? Um, and so, again, I talked to these people that were in another state and I gave them my whole spiel and my experience with the previous clinic. And the first thing that the doctor that I spoke to did was she apologized to me for being told that I should immediately go and not even attempt to use my own eggs, but to look for donor eggs. She apologized for my previous clinic telling me that because it wasn't necessary. And that's kind of what a lot of women are told when there is a bit of a hump um, in their fertility treatments is the standard IVF. It's just nobody wants to deal with that. And so they'll tell you just go get donor eggs or just go get donor sperm or whatever it is and call it. And so after that, like all walls down, I just kind of trusted them from that conversation on. And she's just like, you know, the nurse that you've been coordinating with and talking with, she's like really excited for you, and like we're really hopeful that we can help you achieve a pregnancy with your own egg. And she's just like, you have more than a 1% chance, and it's because of your age, and like this is what we do basically. And I was like, all right, where do I sign up? Like I want to do this. And so that doing that simultaneously of like me getting and like moving in was really like jet fuel to getting me back on track, getting me out, like the first major step towards getting me out of that depression. I still had a lot of it to deal with, and I still struggle with depression and anxiety, but that series of events at the end of May, like the last couple weeks of May, were crucial to where I'm at right now. And so I'm just grateful for God putting those pieces together for me to see so that I can get myself out. I'm just really grateful. So once I moved in here, that was the beginning of June. I kept in contact with the nurses in California, and I had no idea how I was going to make this work. I had no idea how I was going to pay for it. I had no idea how I was going to get there. I spent all of June, all of July, all of August planning, spreadsheeting, losing sleep, thinking about it, ruminating over it, trying to figure out how I could make this work. I spent a lot of time. In the meantime, they were just like, whenever you're ready, call us. Like, just like, we make this process simple. All you do is have to call us. We make your appointment, you show up, and we go. Like, don't worry about anything else. Because I kept emailing and calling them and asking them this and that. And it got to the point where they're just like, just come. Like, it's nothing. Just come. And I was just like, no. 8 minutes.